Welcome everybody to
Welcome to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine this weekend at Circuit de Zandvoort this weekend. And the track today is a little bit more greasier than what it was a bit earlier on this morning when I streamed the first race, and it was topped by Freddie Slater. Fast Freddie yesterday this morning took an absolute flyer of a start and led into turn number one exactly the way we expected him to here for today. But apart from that, Fast Freddy turned into Storming Freddy yesterday when he took race one of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. I forgot to turn on my camera, so that's the reason why you guys actually can't see me. Oh god, I was wondering. I was watching the stream and I was like, why is the camera not turning on? But the track is very low grip. It is wet, this circuit. So again, lights on, wet track here. So that's the main reason why. So it is wet today. It has rained overnight in Zandvoort, making the conditions a little bit more trickier for each and every one of these drivers. But it's Group P heading out first for qualifying 2 here this morning in Zandvoort. It is night time for me, and this happened about an hour ago from the time when I'm streaming it. So Freddie Slater at the moment, the fastest first sector, of course, he's I'm guessing the only one out there for the moment. So he's the only one out there, meaning he's getting probably the worst of the track conditions at this very moment because it's rained overnight in Zandvoort. So it's making this track just that little bit less grippier than what it was yesterday. Now, reports say that this circuit this morning was absolutely drenched. And after DTM qualifying and the Porsche race, it dried up dramatically. So it was drenched, the reports say, from the fans around here. So it's not exactly helpful for these drivers here today. But apart from that, Freddie Slater, though, he's on a lap. It is purple to the first and second sector. There's nobody else at the moment out on the circuit, I don't think. But Freddie Slater, at the moment, the lap time's only 13 seconds. About 10 seconds slower than what they were yesterday, 143.7 from Fast Freddie, who took the race win, and today has a less chance of taking the race win. That is Enzo Deligny on the dry tyres, which is probably not the smartest idea. Taking a bit of a spin at the banked section of the circuit, which is running through turn 6, the banked section. So having a bit of a spin there, not exactly what he would have needed to start this session, the number 99. But Freddie Slater continuing to push on. Enzo Deligny, though, is the driver that has just spun. Freddie Slater is pushing on with it through the first sector, and so is Jean Nakamura, who is purple to the first sector. At the moment, Freddie Slater, personal best to the first sector. So, not exactly the biggest improvement in the world, but it's close enough for Freddie Slater. He's currently got the fastest time at the moment, 143.7. The track is nearly 10 seconds slower than what it was yesterday. But throughout this session, it's just going to continue to improve, and the track will dry up as this session rolls on. But apart from that, this session has gone smoothly so far, with only one spin, and we've got 6 minutes gone in this session. Jean Nakamura, purple to the first and second sector. So is Pedro Clero. He's personal best first and second sector, only 2/10 off Jean Nakamura through those two sectors. Freddie Slater, though, improves his time by only a second, 142.8. I reckon Nakamura, who is running around the final corner there, which is turn 20, and to the line for Nakamura, he does not improve, but he goes P2, 142.843 for Nakamura. Pedro Clero, who's coming to the line, personal best first and second sector, to the line, it is P3. He has the fastest third sector, but was not able to move up any further than P3 in this session. Apart from that, everybody else has really done a lap at this point, but people are now just doing laps for the fun of it because, you know, you're trying to get the track a bit drier here. And in the process, you're helping the next group. So you're helping them at next group to find a bit more grip through the circuit. We saw Enzo Deligny, who tried to pull a lap just then on the dry tyres and had a shocker, as we see Pedro Claro make a big mistake, locks the right front tyre up, and he does the same thing at turn 1, but this time nearly off the road. So he took a bit too much curb as that right front locked up and straddled the curb as he head through. I think that was turn 6. Yes, turn 6, where a lot of drivers have been struggling in the wet conditions, which both qualifying sessions have been wet. One race has been dry. Of course, we've only run one race so far. Of course, this is Group B, not Group A. So, for those people that were wondering, this is Group B. So, there's no worry there if you've missed your favourite driver. But Group B, and Nakamura Berta has just gone P2. He stayed P2 and he's improved by 0.2. He does a 142.8. Before that, he'd done a 143.0. Pedro Claro is in P3 at the moment, behind Dion Gauda, and Liu is in P number 5. This is the number 11 Toyota Gazoo Racing driver, who's just getting real sideways as he comes through the penultimate corner, getting a bit sideways through the penultimate corner, and not exactly what you'd want at this point in the session. Nakamura Berta, though, he is improving through the first sector, but quickly being knocked off by Freddie Slater, who's also going quicker. So the track is continuing to dry up here, and these wet tyres are just going to start to overheat just a little bit, and that's when the grip starts to fall away from you. But Nakamura Berta here is improving through the first sector. Freddie Slater is also improving through the first sector. It's purple all the way through. It's going to be whoever crosses the line last is going to get the best track conditions, because the track will have gripped up a lot more than what it did at the start of the session. So whoever crosses the line last at the end of this session will have the best track conditions. Freddie Slater is improving by nearly 0.7, and so is Pedro Claro. Nakamura Berta's just lost a little bit of time, which was the driver we saw going sideways on the replay a few moments ago. But he's not improving through the second sector, so this probably isn't going to be an improvement. Is it? No. It is an improvement by only half a second for Nakamura Berta, 142.3. I was expecting that not to be an improvement. For Freddie Slater to the line, he improves by nearly 0.6, 141.5. The track is improving quite rapidly, and it's nearly by 2 seconds than what it was at the start of the session. So drying up quite quickly. Bit of a dry line forming through turn 1 as well. But that will be more evident as this session and the next session goes on. Of course, if you don't know how the Formula Regional European Championship Alpine works, in their qualifying sessions, they run two groups. Group A is normally 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, so on in the championship, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so on is Group B. But depending on your luck through the championship, that's a big slide for Evan Giltaire, practically drifting through the left and right. This is where we saw Nikita Bedrin stop in race 1 and in qualifying. Real sideways through that section of road. Evan Giltaire is improving at the moment, but I don't think the track has much more in it. Purple first sector. Grey through the second sector. It's big slide for Evan Giltaire as he makes his run through the second sector, not finding the grippy parts of the circuit, maybe just touching a few ripple strips where there's no grip, and he's losing time quite evidently through that part of the circuit. But purple first sector, not so quick through the second sector. This lap for Gilter puts in P2, only 0.1 off Freddie Slater, 141.7, plays 141.6 from Fast Freddy. But these track conditions are going to be the worst that you'll be getting throughout this session. So Group A will be getting the best conditions, which have our championship leader, Matteo De Parlo. And Group A would have to be so lucky for it to rain. It did have to rain through. They were hoping it was going to keep raining Group A because they probably would have wanted good track conditions for their session, but sadly Group B gets the best conditions when it is not raining, it's just overcast and track is improving quite quickly. That is Pedro Claro, going really sideways through the penultimate corner. Actually, through the final corner. Actually, got real sideways through the bank section. Nakamura Berta is improving, and so is Pedro Claro. So consistent improvement from second and third, which is Nakamura Berta and Pedro Claro in P2 and P3. So consistent improvement, and that is to be expected through this session here. But yeah, Nakamura Berta improving through that first sector by half a second. Lost about 2/10 through that second sector. He's personal best second sector. Pedro Claro is improving, and so is Freddie Slater. Fast Freddy, who we saw win race 1 this morning. And he did that in style with a 2-second margin back to Pedro Claro. So quite a big margin there. But Freddie Slater, he's purple through the first sector. Expect him to improve through the second sector. Nakamura Berta to the line, P1, 141.3. Pedro Claro is improving. He is personal best first sector, purple second sector, and Freddie Slater, purple first sector, personal best second sector. This lap is going to put him to the top for Pedro Claro, and it certainly does, 141.0. Expect Freddie Slater also to go to the top with the numbers that we're seeing here. He's only, again, 4/10 up on Pedro Claro. It is back and forth between the times between Claro, Nakamura Berta, and Freddie Slater. What can Fast Freddy do as he crosses the line? It is P1 for Fast Freddy, 140.756, and to the line he did 221.3 kilometers an hour to the line. Of course, push to pass, unlike the race, is not allowed through qualifying. If you do use it, then it is a immediate back row of the grid for using extra power through qualifying. It is genuine pace that you have to use through qualifying. If you use push to pass, it is disqualification from qualifying. Of course, they do have that there, but it is not allowed to be used for these drivers. And of course, that is just because they want to make qualifying interesting and not have the fans know that they're using push to pass through qualifying. Makes it a bit more interesting through the sessions, and it uses genuine pace. Evan Gilter might have used the grip out of the wet tyres that are available in those wets, because he's not going any quicker through the first and second sector. It's personal best first and second, but as to if he improves through the third sector, he'd actually have to find nearly 8/10 through that final sector to go to the top. He's currently P4 at the moment. He's about 2/10 off Freddie Slater. This lap is going to put him P3. He lost a few tenths through that final sector, so maybe the track is drying a bit more quicker than what these drivers expect. There is a tiny little dry line, but that tiny little dry lines around here, because of the banked sections and the long turns, it burns the tyres out really quickly. Especially with the traction zones around here, and you're using wet tyres, you tend to just burn the rear tyres out really quickly. When you burn the rear tyres out, they just turn into dry tyres, and the treads fall off them, and you have absolutely zero grip. So that's the problem with that. Taito Kato is up on a lap at the moment. He's the number 95, the Canadian driver. The Canadian driver running through the banked section of the circuit. Personal best first and second sector to the line for Taito Kato. This lap, for those fans, Taito Kato P5, 1 second exactly off the pace, 141.760 for Taito Kato. Good lap. But apart from that, nobody else is looking to improve. Pedro Claro is improving, and so is Nakamura Berta. So I was wrong about that. Evan Gilter, he is up and it's up by just 5 thousandths. Oh, that's big Nakamura Berta. Sorry, that's Evan Julter who was up. He was just had 2 wheels in the gravel. Nakamura Berta, meanwhile, is up, and so is Pedro Clevo. That first sector is a stunning first sector, and so with the second sector. Does Evan Julter improve as he uses a bit more of the wet line to cool those tyres down? I don't reckon he will. G. Nakamura Berta doesn't improve either. He is nearly a second off the pace. Evan Julter doesn't improve either. He lost a lot of time through the second banked section of the circuit, which is turn 6. Pedro Clevo to the line for him, and it is going to be P1 for Pedro Clevo. The last one across the line, 140.1. Will the track improve for Group A? It is quite possible that that is going to happen. But what a start for Pedro Clevo. To the line, 3 purples, gaps Freddie, Slater, fast Freddie by 0.5 of a second. What a lap. And last one across the line takes this session. Wow, turn 6. Look at turn 6. It is almost immaculately dry through that part of the circuit. The sun has also just started to come out. So this session might not be indicative for the rest of Group B, for the rest of Group A. And that is what we saw from Pedro Clevo. He was actually not able to... Oh, sorry, that was Evan Julter. He was not able to improve his time. Pedro Clevo actually topped this session, the Canadian driver. Doing a good job there, but that is Evan Julter going a bit wide in the gravel. That is at turn 6. Just using a bit too much banking, understeered, and just dipped 2 wheels in the gravel. I can tell you this much, the gravel won't have as much grip as what the tarmac does. Pedro Clevo to the top, 140.1 by 6/10 over Freddie Slater, fast Freddie in P2. Nakamura Berta, Evan Julter, Dion Gowda, Taito Kato, Nikita Bedrin in P7, Ricky Liu in P8. Nikita Bedrin has not had a good weekend whatsoever. Here, Ray Hang Ye in P9, Tim Gerhardt in P10, Giovanni Macchio in P11, Yaroslav Veselau in P12, Saka El Marshali in P13, the Axel GP driver in P13, 5.5 seconds off the pace. So Group B done for qualifying. We're now going to get to Group 1 underway in a few moments' time. And Pedro Clevo though, 140.144, gapping fast Freddie by 6/10. As I said through the mid part of the session, whoever crosses the line first at the end of the session will get the best track conditions because the track is dried up, it's gripped up, and it just feels so much better at the end of the session. I don't know how that works, but yeah, for those people that wouldn't know how that works, it's when the tyres tend to push all the water away and you just get more grip out of the tyre. But what a lap from Pedro Clevo, the Canadian driver, doing an absolute stonking lap at the end of Group B. We're now going to see some of the more faster drivers through this session. Matteo Di Paolo, our championship leader, by 39 points. 14 points. That championship lead has been extended to. Let's send it up to the Acci Sport commentators to see what they have to say about this session.
So Group A come next, and these are the drivers in the odd-numbered positions in the championship. So it includes our championship leader coming into the weekend and our current championship leader still, Matteo Di Paolo in the number 8. He's going to be out in this session. Enzo Deligny, who is currently 4th in the championship, will be out in the 23. Matteo Di Paolo's in the 8, and then Hiyu Yamakoshi in the 6. Rashid Al-Daheri will be the 14, and our camera crew there picking up that.
So this session gets underway here with the Group A drivers. Here, there are 6 drivers on the slick tyres. Is that risky? Absolutely. The track probably hasn't dried out enough to put on the slick Pirelli tyres. I'd probably stay on the wet tyres for the moment until at least a bit more of the water is dried out. But you can still see the track is quite greasy through this point of the session. So it's risky to actually go out at this point because when you're on the slick tyres, you're not going to get much grip. if any. But the only part of the circuit would be really turn 6 that has the most grip, and that's the banked section, as I've been saying for most of this session. That section of the circuit seems to be quite dry. And then of course running through, this is turn 4, turn 5, that part of the circuit looks quite dry as well, so that doesn't look too bad either. This is turn 6 there, the banked part of the circuit, as I've been saying, that looks quite dry. It has been drying up throughout the last session and it's going to continue to dry through this session as this session goes on. So if you're enjoying, of course, hit like button, subscribe, because I'm on the way to 120 subscribers. And as we speak, at the time of streaming this, I'm on 108 subs. So make sure you hit like button, subscribe. But hitting the like button, even better. Because that would be really helpful as well. But yeah, so as we heard there from the Actually Sport commentator, our championship leader is in this session here. He is P1 and it's Matteo De Paolo, who is leading this championship by just 14 points over what is fast. Well, I'd say fast Freddy, but how long will that last? Not sure. Because this track is going to continue to rapidly dry out. And as we're speaking, it is drying out as we speak. There's a bit more rain and a bit more wind, and it's a bit more overcast. So there's little sprinkles on our cameras as we're speaking. So the track is it's gaining grip and then it's losing grip and then it's gaining grip and then it's losing grip. So it's tough to decide the weather conditions here. There's little sprinkles of rain here, so this might make this session a little bit more slower than what we were expecting. But Rashid Al-Harry is on a lap at the moment. We're going to see these lap times are really important. Jack Beaton is also in this session, so we'll check for him. He's in the number 45 Prema livery as well. Kulani, the British driver, of course, friends with Fast Freddy, of course, living in the same country, which is Britain. So the British driver there, friends with Freddie Stater. He's up through that first sector. That is the number 15 of Karani. He's purple to first and second sector. I think he's one of those drivers that are on the wet tyres. If you're on the wet tyres, you have probably played this correct to this point in the session, because it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The track conditions, oh, and who's that? Off the road, and there's a bit of gravel on that driver's tyres. That seems to be Matteo De Paolo. I think Matteo De Paolo has just spun, and that is through turn 6. So not the penultimate corner. Rashid Al-Harry, what are these lap times like? Karani, 147.9, 157 for the dry tyre runners. Jack Beaton has come to the pit lane, so Karani could be in a very, 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 very good position. Here, 147.9, the fastest lap at the moment. That is Matteo De Paolo spinning on the dry compound. Sorry, that's Edouard Borna. That's not Matteo De Paolo. It looked like Matteo De Paolo's car though. But that was Borna spinning at turn 6. So that's caught out a lot of drivers so far. Matteo De Paolo though, as I speak, has just moved up into P2. And he's on the dry tyres. So track is not ready for dry tyres. It is ready for the wet tyres though. Karani is improving. Carl Karani is improving, sorry. Purple first sector. He's on the wet tyres, so that's exactly why he's improving. You can see the water spraying from the rear of those tyres. Expecting and knowing that we are running on a still quite a wet track at this point in the session. Still running on quite a wet track, so he's 1.5 seconds up at this point through the session. Now, the fastest lap to beat, 140.7. If you beat that, you're on pole. If you can't beat that, well, too bad, you're on pole. If you can, it's good luck for the race, but Kalkrani is on for an improvement here as he runs through the first sector. And we'll see what is second sector side. Purple first sector, and he's just improved by 1.5 seconds, 46.4. So he did a 47.9 in his first lap. He's just done 46.4. Matteo De Paulo, is he still running out on the dry tyres? That would be, he is. He's still running out on the dry tyres, Matteo De Paulo. He is a risky little man. He is, because, unless you're hoping for the track to dry out, but I don't reckon that will happen, as the conditions are just getting worse and worse. Of course, the time to beat 47. We'll see what this lap is like. It's going to be improvement 149.6. It's an improvement by 1 second. So the track is improving, but is it improving enough? Is it improving enough for dry tyres? Quite possibly not. Borna has just moved up into P9. Dorian Pan sitting there in seven and a half minutes to go in this session. Still quite a while to run here as we get through this session. 7 minutes to run in this one. Still a little bit to go here for these drivers. Of course, a lot of drivers going onto the wet tyres now. There are a few drivers out there on the dry Pirelli tyres. It is not, it's again not safe to be out there on the dry tyres. But Car 23 under investigation for an unsafe release out of the pit lane. So, unsafe release, therefore, Car 23, which is Enzo Deligny, who is P4 in the championship at the moment. And this is what it's for. So unsafe release there, Car 23, and that is shown by the way that is by the replay there. So the team's switching over to the wet tyres. Jack Beaton is on a stonking lap at this very point in time. Jack Beaton has not set a lap. He's not down the boards. Let's see if he can go to the top. He will go to the top. He's purple first and second sector. It's Jack Beaton, the Aussie, to the top for Jack Beaton. 2.8 seconds faster, 1:43.5. He's only 3.2 seconds off what we saw in that first group. So that is not a bad performance there from Jack Beaton to do that sort of lap in these rapidly changing conditions. But we're still a couple seconds off the pace. 40.7 the lap to beat. In this one, Colgrani does not improve. 146.8 is P2 at the moment. Provisionally running, I'm going to go, oh, big slide through turn 1. But provisionally, Jack Beaton is running P9. He's going to be starting P9 at this point, but he's improving. The Mantra Racing, Aussie racing driver. Purple first sector. We'll see what this second sector is like for Jack Beaton. The Primo Racing driver is absolutely flying. Young Beaton, fast Beaton, we're calling him at the moment. Purple first sector. What is this second sector going to be like? It is not so quick through the second sector here. But still it's about 3/10. It's about a 10th off his fastest lap at the moment, which he's currently at the top. But it's about a 10th off through that first sector. Kanato Lay, though, personal best first sector. The second sector is 6/10 up Kanato Lee, who is improving quite rapidly. Again, the track continuing to improve once again through this session. Jack Beaton to the line. Does he improve? He does by half a second. 1:43.0 Kanato Lay's time. now might be under a bit of pressure. He's 0.1 off Jack Beaton through this time. Enzo Peugeot to P2 at this point in the session. He's only 2/10 off Jack Beaton. Enzo Deligny to P3. Jack Beaton, what a time he's done. Dorian Pound into P4. It's absolutely flying. Baron Bhakti's also improving. Kanato Lay moves up to P2. He's 0.1 off. Arthur Harry into P4. Baron Bhakti, though, is flying at this point. The Axel Racing driver is improving. Baron Bhakti, purple first sector. We need to get back on with that shot. But car 15